This is Pete Moore here on Halo Talks NYC on location, San Diego, Ursa 2018. Bryden Hayden from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I have the pleasure of being here with today, and we are going to talk about ShapeLog, how this started as a passion project, which now turns into a full-time scalable business. And excited to have you on the Halo Talks and have the audience here understand what it takes to take an idea and move it into a product and make that product turn into an actual business. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
Great. So, first off, from your bio, you're a teacher, you're an educator. First off, why don't we give a little background on you personally, and then how you found this team, how that resonated with you, and we'll fast forward to where we are today.
So growing up, I always was looking for a way to be my authentic self at work. I didn't see a lot of that around me, and I saw a lot of people who didn't like their jobs. I always wanted to start a company. Had a chance to start an online education company as a grad student at Babson College in 2007, and that was successful enough that I was able to try again. I was selective about what sort of opportunities I wanted to get involved with. I'm very people-oriented, and so it was the team that caught my attention, and that was the reason that I wanted to start ShapeLog.
Gotcha. So this was your idea, or this was a team that were part of your network?
I've never named a company or a kid, and I've got 3 kids and 2 companies now. So no, it wasn't my idea. I don't think
What's the difference between a company you fund and a kid anyway? Because I have about 8 companies and no kids, but I feel like I have 8 kids and no companies.
Yeah, well, it's, I don't have good ideas. I just bet on good people, and I like to be useful to really smart people, and so that's how I found ShapeLog.
Gotcha. So, before we actually focus on the product, because a lot of businesses succeed because of the people that are in the room, and a lot of that is based on their background, based on their attitude, based on their ability to listen. So how do you, as an entrepreneur, seasoned entrepreneur, kind of assess that, whether it's like an actual scorecard or whether it's like a calibration of like what your gut says?
It's my belief that when you're an entrepreneur, you're a surfer. So you can't make the wave come. You just have to assess. You have to prepare for the time that it does come, and then assess whether or not it's coming anytime soon. And then when it does come and you're lucky, you got to be able to pop at the right time. And so,
are you a surfer, or this is just more of an analogy?
I've actually never surfed in my life. In reality,
but in your mind, you're surfing.
I'm surfing in my mind.
You're deal surfing.
So I'm no Steve Jobs. I don't find that I have the ability to convince someone to do something that they're not. I'm not going to make the world pay attention to something it isn't otherwise paying attention to.
Okay.
My job is to be a great listener and to be honest in my assessment about what the world is asking for and do the logical thing. So in terms of forming our team, I think I just want to be around talented people, and then it's my job, that's essentially my role at the company, is to figure out when the wave's coming and make sure that we're positioned correctly and we pop at the right time and not too early, because that can kill a startup.
Well, I've run several companies that were funded before the wave came, and it took too long for the wave to come. So, as you look, going back to your wave analogy, I've started several companies that I've started way too early. I knew it was around the corner, but the corner was way further down the block than I thought it was. So, how do you calibrate that? And obviously it's not as scientific as it is a gut check, but maybe the best analogy today would be, virtual reality. And, there are a number of investors who thought that would be ubiquitous by now, and it's not. So how do you gauge that? Because I do believe that it's either an inborn understanding of like the path that technology takes, or it's something that you've experienced and you kind of have a sense for it. So take us into how your thought process works, because I think it's very important for people to understand that there's a runway. Sometimes a runway it's not ready you shouldn't get on it yet. Let somebody else get on it first. So
there are a lot of ways to answer this question correctly. The way that I've chosen to answer it is, one, I like B2B businesses. I think businesses make rational decisions based on bottom line. They have budgets. And so the way that I've done my 2 businesses is I think of myself as performing a sorting exercise, is I figure out who the potential customers are, the businesses. I understand them and I listen to them, and I sort them into two buckets. One bucket is, we like this idea, but we're not sure when we'll ever have a budget for this, and we like this idea and we have a budget for it. And so to me, that's how I know B2B budgets are my indicator of a swell.
Interesting. So a B2B budget, are you assuming when you ask them that question that they already understand that that's a need and you are the product to fulfill that need, or that frustration is, being heightened by your discussion and they say, yeah, okay, I'm willing to allocate dollars to that?
More the former. I don't find that I'm compelling enough of a speaker or a salesman.
This podcast is going pretty well, so let's not, self-deprecate here for just self-deprecation terms.
Yeah. No, I just think, you have to be careful about where you spend your emotional energy and your time as an entrepreneur. My ability to protect that and be efficient with it is what separates success from failure for me.
So when you looked at getting involved with ShapeLog, and you've looked at other industries besides your online, and besides this Halo/fitness app, have you looked at a lot of other industries and said, I'm going to test this out, and then you walked away?
No. That's the thing about being an entrepreneur is my friends and family know me as that, but I've only done it twice. So it's hard to be an expert at something you've only done twice, even though it's what you've lived and breathed, and every experience is different. I know that when we started ShapeLog, before we started it, we went to the Consumer Electronics Show and I set up meetings with 30 of the top companies in the industry, and I showed them a demo of what we had, and it was their reaction that caused me to believe that we could start the company. At that point, I didn't know they had budgets to support it, but I knew that they were serious about it, and that gave me enough confidence to spend a year learning whether or not they do have budgets, and that's how I spent the last year, basically.
So you went to that show. If that show returned less than 50% or zero interest, we wouldn't be here right now. You would have said, you know what, I'm moving on to another industry.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to the team. So you got the market validation that you needed on the B2B budget test, which I like. I'm going to start using that. Then you found a team that from your gut, you decided, you know what, this team is a winning team. And then obviously, as you start development, no development goes according to plan. There's no building that opens up before it's supposed to open. There's no highway that, opens up 6 months beforehand. The market changes. The software requirements change. How did that process go and to where we are today?
Our biggest struggle has been picking one market. So within Halo or fitness, you have physical therapy markets. You have the medical market, commercial fitness, home fitness, apps. And each one is similar, but the way those individual channels work is very different. And so I'd say if anything's hung us up, it's been our ability to commit to one of those.
So as you determine which one to commit to, do you do it based on the budget? Do you do it based on gut? Do you do it based on receptivity of the product? It seems to me, since we're live here on this show, that you're passionate about solving a frustration. And you, in your gut, know that if you solve the frustration, you will be rewarded for it. You don't know what that reward's going to be, the monetary value of that. And I sense that you don't care. Is that true?
It is, yeah.
That's amazing, right? Because what I do right now is I help people. Now, do I think I'm going to get rewarded? Yes. Do people ask me, what's your revenue model? Yeah, I have to give the answer to that. Do I know that the probability of me being as successful as I could be if I was doing something else is going to be more valuable? I'm not sure I care. But I know that if I do the right thing and people get results, that I will get paid. And I sense that you feel the same way.
That's exactly right. But I'd say I recognize that my ability to return money to my team and investors is a part of my future ability to do more of this. And so that's a driver for me, but it's not what personally motivates me.
But I feel like this is going down a completely different path than I thought it would, and this is really good. because I feel like some people start a company and give me a spreadsheet and say like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to multiply this by 4x and this is what the revenue is going to be and this is what the percentage is and this is how much everyone's going to get. And they forgot about what are you trying to accomplish and what's the frustration you're solving. That's what a company is. Solve a frustration or make something better than it was before. And you will get rewarded because the market will price that reward properly. So it's almost like this new age of starting companies for the sole purpose of making the world better, and that knowing that you'll get rewarded if you do the right things and if your software and your product and your service do what you say it's going to do. I mean, which is pretty awesome, right?
I'm lucky enough to live at a time in human history and in a country where the rules are set up so that if you do solve a problem, it's likely that you'll be rewarded if you're not an idiot. So, I try to not be an idiot, but I also have my deepest seated need with ShapeLog is to see our product in market and people using it and it working. And I think it'll unlock a whole bunch of new experiences for people that are going to make them healthier. So yeah, that's what drives me.
Well, I think that's awesome. One, applaud you for your research, for trusting your gut, for doing the work, and for having your own kind of scorecard to decide like how to move this forward. So, what else would you like to share with people so they understand what ShapeLog is and how they get the results that you guys have built the platform for?
Yeah. So the hardest thing for us is because we've chosen to stay focused on building out the data platform, we don't have the end-to-end experience to flash on a commercial. And I think in the fitness industry, it's been extremely difficult to sell an API. Even though I've spoken to all the companies in the industry, we've signed all the NDAs, I can see the matrix. I can see the way that everyone's going to benefit when all these new experiences come to market. But it's hard to be the one that sees the matrix and to communicate that in a way that spurs action from others, the people that need to be involved. And so it'll be interesting to look back 5 or 10 years from now and decide whether we made the right decision to stay focused on being the data currency and partnering through an API, or whether that ultimately made it difficult for people to latch onto what we were doing. And I think that's, I come back to the surfing analogy. I think I do believe that the swell is happening and that people get it, and the right companies are going to step up and be a part of that with us. But it's going to be interesting.
It's a risk. It's a time to market, and it's also getting people's attention. But look, I applaud you for what you're doing. I'm excited to introduce you to people we know at the show, and I think there's something to be said about putting your head down, knowing that you have a product that provides results, and being patient that it takes time to actually educate people. As an educator, you know that you're not going to teach a class and like everyone's going to get it right away. It's not how it works. That's why there's a semester. That's why people go to school for 4 years. If it was easy to get and understand, it would be 4 weeks.
I will say maybe one other thing I would like to say is
Sure.
that if there are people who listen to the Halo podcast and do understand the value of high quality strength training data that's available via API, you're the people that we're building it for.
Well, there's the commercial we were looking for. All right, Brian. Well, great to have you on the show. Continued success, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.